All right. Hey, quants. Today is going to be a real quick market update. I will not have my camera on. I have some self-induced pain since I work typically in Linux environments, and the hardware that I am running is rather new. So as a result, when I recently updated some of my software, just through the typical update process, it looks like my camera may have crapped out. It could just be a configuration thing, but I don't have time to work through it right now because I am busy working on other things. And so I will look to fix that in the future. For right now, I just want to do a real quick follow up on the markets since I hadn't looked at the markets yet. A couple of things that I'm just looking at here is the first time I've looked at the chart today. First thing I wanted to follow up was the potential for this bearish divergence to play out, which it looks like we are getting. If it's not a total turn down, then at least it's some sideways price action. And so that I think obviously I mentioned before that we had the potential for up, down, sideways as always, and it looks like at this point, sideways to down was, in my opinion, the likely scenario. I will say, just looking at today, we do have the potential to get the 200 EMA crossing over the 200 SMA. And so that's going to be another flip on one of our trend indicators down here in the context of the master strategy. And even though the GAN swing indicator for the 1 bar and the 2 bar is down, it's not looking completely terrible because it's not like it just totally tanked out. If you're just doing a straight up swing trading strategy, then you would have exited your position on this candle. This is when you have effectively got turned into a downtrend because we had a high, low, lower high, and lower low. And once this point breached this previous low, that's when the trend turns down, and that's also when we would have exited that particular position. Obviously, as always, you never know what's going to happen on the right side of the screen, and we did get another green candle. So, I think that's just a way that people get shaken out, right? So this just goes to say, you need to define a strategy and have a strategy and execute your strategy, and executing your strategy is oftentimes the hardest thing. So with that said, the other thing I wanted to point out here is I don't know if I called this out as looking like a rising triangle before. I definitely looked more like, I've seen multiple cases drawn here. So you have the chase for the potential for I think I saw somebody calling it a bearish flag potential here, which maybe, I don't know. This is looking pretty long. I don't know if you use this whole flagpole, it might be okay to use that. I think the horizontals were the strongest case, where we had the top right around here, around 72, 73,000, and the bottom somewhere around here, around 65, 66,000, somewhere around there. If we are looking at that, the other thing is, just when I first turned the screen on, I kind of noticed the potential for this to look like a bit of a triangle. I wouldn't say it's a super clean triangle, but you do have higher lows here, and you could draw your flat here, about here at 75,000, and it looks like it got the breakout, the bounce, and then continuation. It looks like here there was some area of resistance right about 78, 78, 7, so 78,700-ish. And it looks like, that's still, you could still draw the top there and still have your triangle be here, and then it would look like just a retest of that position as well. And so if you're looking at that, I wouldn't fault anybody. Again, you want to have a strategy that you test, but if you're just doing some kind of a pattern trading here, I wouldn't fault anybody for taking a potential position taking a position right here, and then setting your stop a little bit lower than where we are right now, so that if it falls into there, that's very, and I would personally use closures, but obviously if you're waiting for a closure, you could get a big candle and lose a lot. So there's trade-offs, and again, this is why you test things. But if you're pattern trading, I think there's a potential opportunity here to catch the price low, with having not so you're having your stop loss not too far away from your entry price, and then potentially looking for price to break, continue, looking if you're going to say this is a retest and then price is just going to continue on. And the oscillators have reset somewhat. They're not totally reset, they are still pointed down, so there's no indication that they're turning around at this point, obviously, especially on a red day. So I just noticed that, and I wanted to talk about that in the context of ascending triangles, because that is one of the patterns that I do put quite a bit of weight in. And it just so happens that it kind of formed one. It looks like you could argue that it formed that and got stopped at all those areas of resistance where I mentioned it was hitting the 200s. We had the pressure point date for the sell window between May 5th and May 6th. It's mid-month, is also can be considered a pressure date, although I wouldn't put a ton of weight on that unless there's some other stuff coming on there. And then if you just zoom out, there was like all these areas that were previously support that got turned into, looks like they got turned into resistance at this point. So looks like we're still fighting through that. But if we do bust through that, then there's definitely a potential to get a breakout, I would say, and get another stronger move up. And if we do that, I would expect we kind of get into this cluster area here. And so I'm not going to make any predictions about how far that's going to go at that point. I would just note that, this potentially, if you're just pattern trading, could be an area of opportunity. And so let's take a look and see how some of the other assets are looking, just because I haven't looked at them. Yeah, it looks like this is, I don't know. I mean, resistance here, long-term resistance, I'd probably put a little bit higher here. So it looks like it's still fighting against that. So same idea, potentially fighting some long-term resistance on Ethereum. Master strategy is all down here. So nothing bullish there. Gann swing indicators down. It looks like it's just been trending sideways for a little bit here, but it does look like the Gann swing indicator is down in terms of trend, and so you might want to wait for that to turn around as your earliest indication for potentially getting into a position, unless you're doing a totally different type of strategy. And then let's go ahead, and I haven't looked at gold in a while, so I mentioned I thought gold was just going to trend sideways. It looks like we've got a bit of a kind of a wedge here, and so I'd kind of wait to see if we're going to break out of that and see which direction it's going to go. So is there anything here? I mean, I'm not seeing anything here that's jumping out at me for that. So let's just jump over to silver real quick. Same idea. Looks like it's just a little more volatile. It's a little more messy, right? So technically you have a uptrend on the Gann swing indicator, but this volatility is just crazy here. And so I think people are just getting whipsawed if they're playing this right now. I don't see anything, at least on the daily time frame, that is giving me a lot of indication of particular direction for position. So if you have a strategy, just keep playing that. Otherwise, I don't see anything just obvious in the charts standing out. So I think, do I want to look at some other stuff here? I think I'm going to leave it there for right now. I'm not going to jump around to a bunch of assets. I said it was going to be a short one today. I got some other stuff I want to work on, and I'll try to get my camera fixed. Hope everyone is getting ready for the weekend, so it should be a fun weekend. We're finally getting some nice sunny days. Actually, it's almost too hot, so but in the summer I like to do a lot of outside type of activities, work, not I say work, but yard work type of things, home improvements, all that kind of fun stuff, and then also camping a lot. So hope everyone gets to enjoy some of the time outside with sunny days, also enjoying those kind of things, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace, quants.